Sakwamukela futhi mbukeli kuhlelo lakho olithanda kakhulu futhi olinezimfundiso eziningi iDaily Theta on SABC1. The youth is suffering. It's going through a lot where we can't find jobs. We have people who study and they're not able to be placed kule msebenzi le abayidingayo, abayifundele futhi nabayithandayo. Kunzima kakhulu ukuthi ufike wenze into, you invest resources, you invest your time, ujike ungawuthola umsebenzi, ungakwazi nokubeka isinkwa etafuleni. Kukhona ama initiatives ke eskwabona from the presidency, i-office lika mongameli, where kukhona i-presidential employment service, lapho ukuthi ukwazi ukuthi the presidency connects you with companies bakuplace kulezo zinkampani ukuthi uthole umsebenzi, usebenze isikhathi uthole experience lo idingayo.
Indeed, usakhuluma nje ngama initiatives. It's such an honor to welcome our next guest, Lana Studio, from the Yes for Youth initiatives, which are initiatives that I believe are trying to bridge le gap esikhuluma ngayo. We're joined by Mr. Tsholo Mogotsi, who is the Chief Partnership Officer at Yes for Youth. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Morning.
It is such an honor to have you here.
Yeah.
Mhlambe, if you can give us your perspective, ukuthi, what really is driving this graduate unemployment? Because in the past, mhlambe, it was a challenge to get young people to study. Now they are studying in the numbers.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear that there's a problem with the skills system in South Africa. So South Africa, we spend about 67% of GDP on education.
Sure.
And we rank somewhere in the top 10. But when you look at skills outcomes, we rank somewhere around 100, 120. So we're spending the money on education, but it's not giving the results. And I think the problem is because the education system hasn't really kept up with the changes in the global economy. We know that there's new sectors that are being born every year. And I think somewhere around the top 5 job creating sectors today didn't exist 15 years ago. But when you look at the education system, we haven't changed much over the last 30, some would say over the last 50 years. We have qualifications today that are the same as they were in 1980.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
So the problem is not with the young people who are applying themselves. The problem is that the system does not seem to be working. One of the things that we did, I think, that has not proved to be maybe a good decision some years ago was that we moved skill spend away from employers and put it into a skill system with the CETAs and the like.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things that it did was that it moved decision-making on what kind of skills need to be developed from employers to a different kind of system. So
an agency.
Correct. And employers today are saying that, look, we are spending money, we're taking 1% of our payroll, paying it as a skills levy. So our skill spending, we're giving it to someone else. So how can we be expected to now spend more money on training people ourselves when we've given over the money? We expect that the system must give us the skills that we need. But what is happening is that they're saying that, look, we're not getting the skills out of the system that we really need. So that's one part of the problem.
Yeah.
The other part of the problem is that, qualifications have become a very poor proxy for skills. So it used to be in the past that when you had a particular degree or a particular qualification, an employer would be confident.
It would demonstrate your competence.
That you
Yeah.
But now the nature of work has changed. So now, employers are looking for adaptability, analytical thinking. Those are the modern, what they call the future-facing skills. But, a qualification doesn't tell you that. So then how do employers figure out whether or not you can do the job? All that they can do is look at your CV and look at your experience. If you've done this kind of work before, then they know that you can do the work. That's why experience became such a big issue and why it really, and now because young people are the ones who have the experience, that's why there's so much bias against young people in the labor market. So an initiative like YES, the Youth Employment Service, was really designed to provide young people with that full year of solid quality experience in the private sector that can become the foundation for a career. So they looked at it and thought, look, if you can show that at least minimum 1 year, I've worked at ABSA, I've worked at Sanlam, then the employer might have confidence that, look, if you lasted 1 year at a bank and you're doing this kind of work, maybe then you can do the work for me. And what we've seen is that employability increases dramatically once you have that experience.
So you're saying yasebenza this program, yes.
The model works.
Yeah.
So remember that when you get into the YES program, it's only for unemployed youth. So 100% of the people coming in are unemployed.
Sure.
And then we've now provided about 225,000 young people with this work experience in the private sector.
Yeah.
And what we find is that immediately at the end of the program, about half of them find employment. So basically, for every 2 people that you can put into the system, 1 at least was going to get a permanent job immediately after they leave the program. So it's a method of halving unemployment. But what we need is more scale, because as much as 200,000 people is a lot of people, there's 7.8 million unemployed youth.
Yeah. Sure.
So what we need to find a way to make programs like this 10 times bigger, 20 times bigger.
So you're saying as an organization, you give them the experience they need to be able to then go out into the work world with that experience?
That is correct. So we work with 2,000 companies, from half of the JSE and many of the large companies and some of the medium and smaller ones. So what we do is that we place them in these companies. So companies come to us. There's an incentive that was created for them for employment. It's called the YES incentive. So companies, they get some sort of BE good tick if they employ young people. So then they come to us and then they work out a target. So it's based on a target system. The bigger you are as a company, the more opportunities you have to provide in order to get the benefit. And through that system then, that's how we place basically between 40 and 50,000 young people a year in work opportunities in the private sector.
All right. We do have a caller on the line, Palisa from Edipsloot. Palisa, good morning.
Morning, Sis Nelly.
Uyapila Palisa, share your thoughts with us.
Okay, Sis Nelly, I wanted to say the fact that the people who are not graduated, they get more jobs than people who have graduated.
So people who are not graduated are the ones who are getting more opportunities than the ones who are graduated.
Yes. And also I wanted to ask a question to our expert.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much, Palisa. I'm going to come back to you, Tsholo Mogotsi. In your experience, how true is that? And does it matter if the people who come to you have not graduated at all?
So it doesn't matter. We provide opportunities for anyone. We find that about half are people with matric. There's some that even get opportunities without matric. And about 20-something% have a TVET qualification or something more than that. And about 10 to 15% are graduates. From what we see, the graduates typically have more access to opportunities than those that are not graduates. And you can see it even in the unemployment rate. Graduate unemployment is 12%, while unemployment for young people between the ages of 18 to 25 is actually closer to 60%.
Sure, it is.
So 2 out of every 3 young people in that age band are unemployed. But when they have a qualification like a degree, it does reduce unemployment. So education does work. It's just that it is not sufficient anymore.
Education is still the key.
It is still the key.
Yeah.
It is still the key.
Utsulu uyasitshela ukuthi education is still the key, and if you further your education, you stand a better chance of being part of their initiative. You stand a better chance of being attractive to the employer. Kulula ukudayisa umuntu onephepha noma iskill asiphethe esandleni. It's important that we collaborate, sibumbane sibambisane, to be able to put graduates, unemployed young people into the working place. We continue the conversation after the break. So we're